Hi, everybody. I want to apologize for not having video of our Tulsa chapter meeting tonight. The tornadoes that kept, tornado warnings that kept coming through, kept killing our video. So I'm just going to recap real quick everything that we talked about. First off, we talked about the petition from last year. Our final numbers were 70,222. That was, we look at that as it was a good thing. We pulled the petition together really quick, and to pull that much organization together that quickly to us gives us hope for the future when we run the petition again, that we can be successful at getting the initiative petition accomplished, which will change the Oklahoma Constitution. Again, I'm just kind of highlighting everything that we talked about in the meeting because this was a Tulsa chapter meeting. We talked about the Tulsa area and the things that we need to accomplish in Tulsa. From the petition last year, we were able to gather data from where we did good at, where we did bad at, where we need to do better in Tulsa. In Tulsa County, we gathered in a little over 22,000 signatures. In the outlying counties away from Tulsa or Oklahoma City, we gathered a total of 45,000 signatures, I think, or 40,000 signatures. So we did really good in the outlying counties. We did pretty weak in the in the bigger counties like Tulsa County and Oklahoma County. So we need to do better there. In Tulsa County alone, we should be able to pull off an easy 60,000 signatures from Tulsa County alone. And Oklahoma County, around the city, there's a lot higher population. We should be able to gather in close to 80 to 100,000 signatures there without any problem. So we've come up with a strategy to be able to do this, and part of that strategy is to make sure that we organize our chapters a little better than what we did during the last petition. Again, we were short on time. We were having to really throw people into positions that, and not, we didn't have the support structure set up that we needed to have set up. So we're taking that time right now to set this structure up. And so we're starting here in Tulsa. Our idea is that in the Tulsa area, we need to be able to have we need to be able to have 10 petition sites set up in the Tulsa area during the petition every day. And so if we have the right structure set up, we can do this. So part of that structure is having a chapter leader that can focus on Tulsa, on the Tulsa chapter. This last petition cycle, I ended up being the chapter leader for Tulsa, and because I have so many responsibilities across the state, with being the president of Green the Vote, that was a mistake on my part. Somebody else should have been the Tulsa chapter leader, somebody who could have focused specifically on Tulsa. So we are looking to find a chapter leader for the Tulsa chapter, but we're also looking for some assistance for that chapter leader, so that the chapter leader responsibilities isn't just on that one person. That way, if something happens, if something comes up during an event, during something that needs to happen, that the whole chapter doesn't fall apart just because one person had something happen that took them out from being able to do what they needed to do. So the way we see it is we need a chapter leader. We also need 2 assistants right behind that chapter leader that can help them with a barrage of things that need to be done. But we also need a volunteer coordinator. Volunteer coordinator will simply be in charge of calling the volunteers from the Tulsa area and scheduling them for the different events that are going on. And that's going to be starting here really quick. We've got different events coming up like Rocklahoma, Mayfest, these different marathons that are coming up, all things where large groups of people are going to be gathered together. Thousands of people are going to be gathered together. So volunteer coordinator will be calling all the people from those areas where those events are going on, saying, hey, you signed up to be a volunteer for Green the Vote. Are you available to come help on this event or that event that's happening on this day? And that way, invites on social media, specifically Facebook, they're good to get the word out that something's going on, but it's hard to count on people just clicking yes, they're going to be there, and think that they're going to be there. So with having a volunteer coordinator, we can really make sure that we're reaching out to these people, we're talking to these people, and we're finding out, can they be there? Is there something, do they need a ride to get there? Is there some way that we can help them to make sure that they're a part of Green the Vote and helping us get done what we need to get done? We're taking this entire year to get all these chapters organized and go into our educational campaign for the year. So, our goal is to get out, register people to vote, because no matter what, you have to be a registered voter to sign a petition. And so we need to register as many people to vote as possible, so that whenever we do run our petition, that we stand a better chance at being able to get good signatures. Because if we get 200,000 bad signatures, then we still lost. So it's really important that we get those 200, or that every signature that we get is a good signature. So a volunteer coordinator for the bigger counties is going to be crucial. We're going to be doing the same thing in Oklahoma City, but again, we're starting out with Tulsa, trying to get this chapter lined out. Volunteer coordinators is really important. The next person that we're going to be trying to find is an event coordinator. This is somebody that can keep an eye on the calendar on a regular basis, see what's going on in the Tulsa area, whether it's, a food truck festival or a marathon or whatever kind of event where there's going to be a large gathering of people there, that the event coordinator can see that stuff, can make us aware that, hey, this will be a great place for us to go, register people to vote, spread information, put out pamphlets, about medical marijuana and the benefits of, and then, find out the details of what it would take to get a booth space there and so on, so that we can then put that information to the volunteer coordinator to say, hey, for this event, we need 6 people, or we need 10 people, or we need 30 people to be able to adequately work this event. And I'll be working together to make that happen so that we can be successful. Another role that's going to need to be filled for the higher population areas is an equipment coordinator. One of the biggest bits of feedback that we got during the petition was there was people who wanted to volunteer, but maybe they didn't have a table, they didn't have the signage, they didn't have a pop-up tent, they didn't have the stuff that they needed to be able to go set up. So one of the things that we know that is important is that, like in the Tulsa area, we'd like to have 10 sets of gear that people can use. And so if we have an equipment coordinator and we have, say, all these different events that are going on at the same time, that, the volunteer coordinator is already going to be having people show up to work these events, that the equipment coordinator can make sure that we have a table, we have a tent, we have the signage, we have everything that we need to work that event there. And that way the individuals that are coming out to volunteer don't have to feel like they're responsible for making this huge investment in all this gear to be able just to help. And then the last thing for the Tulsa area is a social media coordinator. And basically we know that there's people out there that maybe don't have the confidence or the health to be able to be out there on the streets doing the hard work out on the streets, but they're good on social media. And so, when we make these event invites and stuff, the social media coordinator can take and find good places to post these events at, not only on the Green the Vote pages or marijuana related pages, but they can, take some of these events and post them in like yard sale pages and buy, sell, and trade pages and different pages that they find across social media, to be able to spread the word that, we're going to be at these events, that, we could use some help with these events, or whatever the case may be. biggest thing is to be able to promote the fact that we're going to be out and about doing what we're doing at all the different places that we're doing it. And so that was a quick rundown of that part. We did talk about that. We have Rocklahoma coming back up again. We're working to try to get some booth space for Rocklahoma. Now, that's not necessarily in Tulsa, but for all of you that's from the Tulsa area, you understand that when we think of Tulsa, we think of what's considered green country, which is basically northeast Oklahoma. Rocklahoma's happening in Pryor. We're going to need a good 20 to 30 people to be able to filter through that whole 3-day weekend to be able to work that event. It's a fun event. We won't be inside the fenced area where all of the concerts are happening. We'll be just outside the fenced area. You get to hear a lot of great music, but not necessarily see it happening because you're too far away. But everybody that's within that fenced area, they camp outside that fenced area. This is a gathering where there's 30,000 plus people that come to it every year. And so, we walk through the campsites. We try to make sure that we talk to everybody that we come across about the benefits of cannabis and how important it is that they're registered to vote so that they can help us to get it legalized here in Oklahoma. Another thing that's coming up in May is Mayfest. We won't have a booth at Mayfest, but we're getting a booth at the Blue Dome. They're having a festival at the same time as Mayfest, so we'll need volunteers at the Blue Dome at our booth there. But then we're also going to need volunteers that can be on foot like we did last year, that can walk the Mayfest area, that can walk the Blue Dome area with our backpacks, with our flags flying, to register people to vote, and again, put information out about what it is that why it's so important that we legalize cannabis. Got other events coming up. Just this next weekend, we got the Kendall Whittier Food Truck Festival. That's on Saturday. That's a great place for a handful of people to go out. It's not something that we have organized. So if somebody wants to go out there and do that, we can make sure that you have voter registration cards and that you have everything that you need to go do that. But that one being this next weekend, that one's going to be kind of tough for us to pull together. But there's going to be other food truck festivals that are coming. There's different marathon type things. The Color Run here in Tulsa on April 9th, which I believe is the following Saturday. Going to be thousands of people gathered there. That'd be a great place for us to go register to vote and spread information about the benefits of cannabis. The Walk MS Tulsa, multiple sclerosis walk, also on April 9th. Good place, lots of people. The Tulsa Heart Walk, April 23rd. These are all things that we have, large gatherings of people that are be coming to, and that's where our focus is going to be this year, is trying to get to all of those large groups of people and educating them on the benefits of cannabis. Try to make sure that we have some Green the Vote merchandise for sale so that we can raise money. We need to be very well prepared going into the next petition that we plan on doing in 2017. And some people have asked, why are we not doing one right now in 2016? And there's a couple of different degrees of this. One part of it is that we need to raise money. We spent every dime that we had during the last petition. We need to raise money so that we're properly prepared going into the next petition, that we're funded, that we can do everything that needs to be done. We need to fix the gaps in some of our chapters. Again, in the Tulsa chapter, I think we gathered in around 22,000 signatures from the Tulsa chapter during the last petition. We need to be able to boost that number and make sure that we get 60, 70, 80,000 signatures from the Tulsa chapter. Same thing in Oklahoma City. Our numbers were low. We need to be able to boost those numbers, and the way that we do that is by organizing these chapters right now. Taking this time to get everybody involved, let them understand what the game plan is, what the structure is, how we work it, and how we best accomplish this. And then going back to making sure that we raise enough money this year so that we're not behind the 8 ball during the entire petition next year, because this last petition, when we started, we had less than $500 in the bank, and so we were constantly having to raise money during the petition to fund everything that we were doing while we were running the petition. So we would love to be able to get ahead of that game this year, so that when we do our petition next year, that we can do it without having to stress so much about if we have enough money to do it. And then the final thing is that there is another petition that's going on this year. Everybody's trying to get their petitions done before this next election. And so we didn't want to dilute the waters by having too many petitions running at one time and making them all fail. So, we're giving the other group their chance to be able to run their game plan and see what they can do, and maybe what they do can get something accomplished. But we didn't want to dilute the waters and make it to where nobody got anything accomplished. So, giving that group their chance to do what they need to do. And it allows us the time that we need to be able to better organize, so that we can get the initiative petition passed in the following year. For us, it's important that we do an initiative petition because it changes the Oklahoma Constitution, which means the lawmakers cannot mess with it like they're doing in other states. Georgia, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're familiar with what's going on in Georgia. The lawmakers have basically washed their laws back down to something that they're not happy with. They're pulling the ability for them to be able to grow at home completely out of the laws. California's having similar problems. Companies that were within compliance where they were growing before, laws are changing, and all at once, they can't be this close or that close to this or that, and so people that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to be legal are now, not in compliance and cannot function. And that's why it's important that we pass a constitutional amendment, because the only way that can be changed is to go back before a vote of the people. And that keeps people like Scott Pruitt, and which is our state attorney general, keeps people like our Governor Mary Fallin from being able to stand in the way of the legislation that we're fighting so hard for. So I'm going to wrap it up there. That was it in a nutshell. I apologize that we wasn't able to record the meeting or put it out live when it was going on, but again, the storm warnings kept killing our video. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this video. We're not going quiet this year. We're going to be very vocal. We're going to try to be at a lot of events and really make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success in 2017. And so keep an eye out for us. We will have more meetings. We'll be soon setting up some meetings in Oklahoma City as well. So people that are in that area of the state can come to those meetings and see how they can take part in the Oklahoma City chapter. We're going to have more Tulsa chapter meetings, and we'll definitely try to have all those videoed and posted on Facebook so that everybody can see what Green the Vote is doing. Thanks. Have a great night, and y'all stay safe.